Hiya, everybody! Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about some serious Western animated shows, ones that are more dramatic than comedic. For whatever reason, in the West, animation is usually a medium for comedy. Doesn't matter if the animation is made for adults, made for kids, episodic, serialized, or in a film. It's almost always still comedy. And so today I'm going to be talking to you guys about a few that are not comedic. And I'm not going to be talking about too many superheroes here because those are easy. I could easily just point to anything Batman related and get away with it. So here's a list of a few Western animated shows that aren't so kiddish and aren't so comedic. And this list isn't going to be in any particular order, so the first one I'm going to talk to you guys about is Riddick Dark Fury. It takes place between the Riddick movie Pitch Black and, well, Riddick. It's not quite as good as the live-action films are, but it's still pretty interesting in a few ways. I mean, it's not brilliant or anything in regards to the plot or anything. They just go aboard a bounty hunter ship, kill some shit after seeing some weird shit, and then they leave. But with that being said, it has some pretty cool action and some other really cool animated things that are in it that you might be interested in watching. The original Heavy Metal movie, not Heavy Metal 2000 because that one's kind of lame, but the original Heavy Metal movie is another one to be talking about. It's more of an anthology, so there's no like single plot that the thing follows. The different stories are loosely connected at about the same level that the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror episodes are loosely connected with one another, or the earlier ones were. And so it has some really interesting ideas in it, such as a taxi driver in a dystopian New York, or a bunch of zombies on a B-52 bomber, or some woman getting revenge on a bunch of baddies by flying on a bird. They're all really interesting ideas. On occasion, it does seem like it's fan fiction without it being an homage to any kind of franchise. And there are a few comedic little anthology story thingies in there as well. But overall, it's a pretty interesting thing that they put together. One that should never go unmentioned is the Star Wars The Clone Wars series. The 2D one is also really decent, but I'm going to be talking about the 3D one. And it is really good. Maybe not so much in the first two seasons. That one's a bit kiddish and what have you. Kind of like the movie that it came from. But after a few seasons, it actually started getting really good. They actually started incorporating more drama into it, making it more interesting for adults to watch it than what it was previously, making it more violent, making it darker, and it was just really interesting to see that. And it shows how Palpatine gained control of the banks. It shows how Darth Vader slowly came to be through Anakin from the effects it had on him through the war and some other things like that. And just a few other really cool things that the show showed. So I'd definitely recommend giving that a watch. It's not necessarily required to watch the first couple seasons or to watch a lot of the boring episodes that go on there. There are story arcs, but it's mostly episodic. It kind of almost serializes a little bit, but it's not really important what they're doing exactly. So, yeah, give that a watch. One of my favorite shows from my childhood would be Gargoyles, that Disney cartoon that came on at about the same time that Batman the Animated Series did, and maybe it's Disney's answer to the Batman. And this cartoon delivered just the right amount of drama, of science fiction, of fantasy, and maybe butchered mythology. And while it's most definitely aimed for kids, there's certainly some elements in there that the writers put in for adults to enjoy as well. It centers around some ancient gargoyles that basically wake up in Manhattan and become superheroes while fighting off a bunch of prejudices and things like that. But it's really good. It has nice action, drama, it gets dark. If you're not really interested in watching a drama made for children, maybe it wouldn't be best for you, but it is entertaining. So I'd recommend giving at least a few episodes a watch anyways. They even go out of their way to develop interesting characters, which is not something you see in a lot of 90s kids cartoons. And then there's Delta State, a French-Canadian production that's mostly about these people that are doing astral projection things and fighting off extra-dimensional aliens or something in an ethereal world. Just kind of an interesting concept. It's just sad that it plays out more like a soap opera with shallow characters and dialogue, and where the episodes are, for the most part, a bit repetitive in their formula for how they go about doing these things. But with that said, maybe an episode or two of it could be fun to watch. Just don't watch the entire series because it's not that great. But it's not bad. It's not bad. It has some interesting ideas. Steven Spielberg's Invasion America is another one that is a little bit underwhelming and a bit slow in the action and the acting. They use a bit of outdated CGI, and it shows, and they take some animation shortcuts. But with that being said, the fact that aliens want to specifically attack America because of America's actions around the world is kind of an interesting idea. And this kid is a chosen one or something, and he's given this glove that gives him the power of the Force. Yeah, it's a little weird, but give it a watch. It has some interesting ideas. I know I keep saying these shows have interesting ideas, but it's true. They have some interesting ideas. And some of them carry them out pretty good, and others carry them out not so good. A lot of them are a bit underwhelming. Right? I would register Invasion America on about the same scale as Riddick Dark Fury, with how underwhelming it is. MTV's Aeon Flux. Now, this is a cartoon that is incredibly weird. I only really could get into the pilot and the ones from season 2, where they were mostly skits where the woman would always die at the end. Season 3 is where they started introducing some dialogue, and they developed it into a full 22-minute show. But it's too weird for me, so I couldn't really get around it. It's very trippy and way too weird. But if you're into that kind of thing, give it a watch. And then there's Avatar: The Last Airbender, which is probably one of the greatest family cartoons that I have ever seen in my adult life. I remember watching a few episodes when I was a teenager, but I actually sat through the whole 3 seasons of it a couple years back, and yeah, it blew me away. It's that good. It's on the level of many anime with its stories, maybe even a little better. Its animation is really great. It has visual styles that are kind of influenced from anime, but it also has a pure Western slant to it as well. So it's a sort of unique blend between the two genres, I think, between Western and East Asian animation. Its characters are, they do a lot to develop the characters, to develop the world that they're in, to develop the story, and it's just amazing. You should really give that a watch. I am telling you, because it is crazy amazing with how good that show really is. Yeah, give it a watch. It's not just another Nickelodeon cartoon. It's not SpongeBob or Danny Phantom or the Fairly Odd Parents. Okay, it's a really good drama. It's just really good, right? They put in some bits of East Asian mythology or whatever you want to call it. It's amazing. Give it a watch. And I'll also put The Legend of Korra in there too, even though it's not as good as The Last Airbender. It has 4 seasons, and each one, the serializing only takes place through one season, basically. Like, there's one enemy per season that she has to fight. And then the seasons are loosely connected with one another. But, yeah, the Last Airbender, the one with Aang, that one is amazing. give it a watch. And then give Legend of Korra a watch after if you want. And then there's the HBO Spawn series that came out in the 90s. Yes, the cartoon one, not that movie. Wow, that one is insane. It's incredibly dark. It's about as slow as Blade Runner. And it is just crazy, right? It shows all the sort of dark themes that you'd expect from, you wouldn't expect it from a superhero movie or anything, that's what I'm saying. Right, it shows, politicians engaging in a bunch of corruption, not just the typical sort of corruption that you might see them engage in a Marvel Comics villain or something, but like things that are a bit more insane than that, like a politician that has a pedophile for a son, and that he's he's trying to cover it up, and then there's this evil businessman that's blackmailing the politician because he has knowledge on that. Yeah, you're not going to get that in a lot of superhero things from Marvel, I don't think. But it was in Spawn, and it's just crazy. It kind of shocked me that they would actually put that in anything superhero-related, considering it's mostly a medium for kids. And yeah, that's insane. I wouldn't recommend allowing a kid to watch it. Maybe a teenager could. But yeah, it's crazy. It's gritty. It's, the plot is about a guy that more or less... he goes to hell, and then he's revived as a hellspawn that does the bidding of the devil or something. It's very similar to Ghost Rider, but it's so much darker than that, and it's crazy. So, yeah. And I'll also put that Castlevania Netflix series on. I'm not sure if that one's actually made in America or if it's an actual anime. I think it's an American animation, so I'll put that on there. And there's a few others that should also go mentioned, but I can't remember the names. One was some talking rabbits or something. Yeah, it's about talking animals, but I don't know. It's not oriented towards kids as much as you'd expect it to be. It's a British cartoon, too. I just can't remember the name of it. So, but yeah, there are definitely a few animated shows in the West that are more drama than comedy, and that are aimed a bit more towards adults than children. So that's my my take on Western animated shows. Peace. And if you like this video, you can support me by buying a shirt or some other merch. The link will be in the description below.